Well, hello everyone, and welcome to day three of the book fair and virtual summit. I'm Julia Royston of BK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and the author community, the book business bosses, helping you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth. And tonight we're really going to be talking about telling the story. And I really wanted to start off with we had some technical difficulties on last evening, but I really want to start off by talking with Mr. Michael Young, who tells a wonderful story. And I kind of answered the question for him because the internet wasn't letting us be great last night, but it's going to let us be fantastic tonight. And if you ever have any questions, be sure and put them in the comments. Be sure and put them in the chat if you're in the Zoom room and if you're in the comments section in YouTube. So I'm going back and forth. I've already shared it on Facebook. So if you go to my Facebook page and you want to share it to your page, that's great so others can join in. I'm not really so much focusing on who's here because I'm going to be sending out the replay, but I want us to enjoy our time together as we did on last evening, as we have every evening, enjoying really talking about writing. And so I guess my first question is to Michael Young about where you get the research from. I tried to answer it for you, but I want you in your own words because Michael Young writes um, stories with strong female characters, and there was a question that came from the Zoom room last night about where you do your research. So if you would introduce yourself again, and then really talk about the four books that you've written, and then really talk about that because they wanted to ask, okay, he's a man. Where does he get his research from doing strong female characters?
Hello, my name is Michael Young. I am an urban fiction writer, also a mystery thriller writer. Uh, I guess you can say I get my inspiration from other stories that's out, but I want to put different twists on them. They could be a story that you've heard or read before, but it's going to be a little bit different. Instead of the woman being the one needs rescuing, some of them, the woman is the one doing the rescuing. And I also want to bring women in a different picture. A lot of books that you see, the covers, they're, hate to say it, kind of scantily clothed, very
Uh-huh.
small mini skirts, tight shirts. That's not a description of every woman out there. And that's what I want to bring to those, to the women that have businesses, the CEOs who hold a high standard to themselves.
And we thank you.
I
We
want to tell
thank
their
you.
stories.
Thank you. And we thank you. We thank you. So I also threw in, your lovely wife, Miss Sarita, and her business, and she's a boss in her own right in the fashion and beauty industry, honey. You just follow Miss Sarita Bacon Young. You never know what you gonna see every single day. My cousin has a saying in Nashville. She lets the people have it. So she be letting the people have it. So fashion tips and wig wear and everything else. She is truly, I said, she gets a lot probably from his wife too, because she's pretty self confident.
Yes.
She's doing her thing, but yeah, we appreciate that, and we really thank you for telling that story from our perspective, but showing us in a strong light. So your stories, of course, are fiction stories, but they are also realistic. They're actual people can actually read them and say, "Oh yeah, my cousin did that. My cousin might say that.
Yes.
My, the chick on the job. Oh yeah, that might be Mary in accounting. She might say that, or Shaquita down in mailroom. She might do that. Whatever.
Mhm.
So that just makes it really, really realistic and really, really, really fun. So give us the title of your book again.
My first book is Is Happiness Worth the Pain? That is a group of women, and that's about their life. I won't say life struggles, but how they proceed in life, how they go through different business changes, love life, how they come together and bond when there's trouble, and how they just hold on to each other and guide each other through those. The second book is To Protect and Serve, a City in Panic. That is kind of like a CSI, Cagney and Lacey, but instead of men being the policeman and saving the day, we have two Black females that's called to save the day.
Come on through. Yes, sir.
The third book is Wildest Dreams. That kind of touches everybody because mostly everybody has their own celebrity crush. And the book raises the question, what would you do if you get to meet or work for your celebrity crush and they end up having a crush on you? Would you be able to deal with their celebrity lifestyle?
Now that's a conversation. Keep going, sir. One more.
And the fourth book that's about to come out soon, Forgotten Lies. That is my mystery thriller. That is kind of like my M. Night Shyamalan. Once you're reading it, then the ending hits you like, where did that come from? I was not expecting that.
Dun, dun, dun. I told him, I said, I couldn't even format or proof unless it was in the daytime. I was like, I can't do that too late tonight. Like, oh, I'll be wide awake, looking crazy. And Burnett would be like, are you all right? No, I didn't get no sleep last night, girl. No, I'm not doing all right. So why the switch? Why the switch from strong female characters to this mystery thriller? You just wanted to take a walk on the wild side, or do you like ghost stories?
Well, Forgotten Lies was actually the third book I wrote, but my fans wanted a sequel to the first one so much that I had to finish Wildest Dreams and put it out first. But all my books have a very small connection to each one of them. You have your girl friendship in the first one. The second one is a drama. Third one is romance, and I won't say lust, but there's sex in it. And this one is your mystery. This kind of ties in with the first one a little bit, lets you get a little small part of it, lets you get to know some of the people that was mentioned in the first one. I just want to kind of throw a different collection out because not everybody likes the same kind of book. So eventually I want to have a book that will cater to everybody. You mention my name, I will have a book for you.
Awesome. I think we lost her.
I was just about to say, I think we lost Julia.
Oh.
Where'd she go?
Yeah, I think her screen froze.
Oh my goodness. So
Give it just
what
a
do we
minute,
do? We
she'll
are
be back.
live. Mhm.
I guess we're still
What
in
do
the
we-
group. She has to come back to us.
Yeah, she's coming
Right.
back. She's coming back. Unless, Leslie, you want to start talking about yours? Your memoir.
Sure. My book is called Music is the Key. Music lives in me. And it's just a book about my life and struggles and triumphs, and how good God is, that even before I was saved, he was speaking to me, through music, because I've been singing since I could breathe. So every time I sang a gospel song, the word was living in me, was coming into me. And even though I didn't know what they meant prior to being saved, I was being changed,
Right.
So I went through a lot of life difficulties, like I became a single parent. a victim of racism, just, just, there were times where I felt like giving up, but when music came on, when I started singing again, that's what it made me born again, should I say, and gave me hope. So I am so pleased that to write this book, that, to help people, other people like single parents that think
Right.
they're alone and raising. I have 5 children. I have I raised
Really?
5 children by myself, and each one is different. And this one you could discipline by just talking to her. The other one you have to put her on punishment for a week. You just had to think of different ways of doing things, and taking care of the house and making sure they're fed, going to their doctor's appointments, going to their basketball games, going to
Right.
their concerts or what have you. So
Right.
I'm just so, and I forgot to sing through it all. I was just going and going and going, and I
You
just
forgot you.
I forgot who I was,
Yeah.
like what I was supposed to be doing. And it wasn't until
It kept on going.
somebody, you're back.
Oh, she's back.
No, keep on going. I'm like, yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Welcome.
I mean, my complete commitment. Bye, gone. I'm like, keep going, keep going, keep going. I love
So
See, that's what happens when you get the teacher over there. Floyd does not down unless there's a pandemic, and Leslie's on the stage. Just keep singing, girl. Just keep singing. I'll be back. Just keep singing.
So it wasn't until a friend came. Okay.
Okay.
I was talking about my book and about my life,
yeah.
basically, and about being a single parent and how hard it was trying to raise all the kids single-handedly, feeling like you're by yourself and forgetting about you.
Right.
I was going to kids' concerts and basketball games and taking them to the dentist and all the rest of that. And
That
that's
whole
all.
balance thing. Just
Yeah,
how you do
but
it all. Yeah.
there was no balance because I forgot to
Me.
do stuff for me.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until a friend of mine called me and she said, I made your appointment to go see the Pastor Betsy. She was a counselor at our church. She said, you need to go and see her. So I went to see Pastor Betsy, and Pastor Betsy let me rant and rave, and my ex-husband did this, and the kids did that. And then she said, Leslie, you sing. When was the last time you sang? I couldn't even tell her when was the last time I sang. She said, go home, sing in the morning and sing at night, and come back in 1 month. When I came back 1 month, I was a whole different,
you a whole new woman.
Whole woman. So God speak, even me getting saved, God speaks through singing.
Sure.
There was a worship leader up in the church that I went to go visit, and she sang the praise him and lift him up. Right? And I'm kind of reserved, but I found myself jumping up and down. And when I walked to the bus stop after the service, I was like, I don't know what that was, but whatever that was, that's what I want.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
what you want.
Basically what my book is about. It's like music is the key. Music lives in me, but God actually lives in me because that's how he speaks to me. That's how he connects to me. So though I went through all this trials and even feeling hopeless and everything, God was always there holding my hand saying, hey, I got you, daughter. So
But that's the beauty,
we
not
do.
only just of your book, but for all books. When we read them, we want a story to be told that is uplifting. I mean, yeah, everybody goes through trials and tribulations. So
Mhm.
thinking you're just, oh, I'm just, everything's just so wonderful and everything's just so great. No, that's not realistic either. But
Right.
knowing that, and that's one of the things that always frustrates me. So do we ever, and that happened, and that happened, and that happened, and that happened, and that happened. Okay, do we ever get to a turning point where we're, where something good does happen? You can
Right.
live your whole life and nothing ever good happens ever. So we have to have some hope, or we'll be all standing there on the bridge, ready to jump off.
Right.
So I think even
Right.
through Michael's fiction, you're very realistic. These are personal stories that happened to me. Then we're all able to say, "Whoo, okay, there's going to be life at the end of this tunnel. There's going to be
Right.
hope at the end of this." As they say, my
Right.
computer will
Exactly.
come back. Hello, I will survive this. And that's one of the
Yes.
key things that I really want people in telling their stories and the stories that we're sharing this evening and this whole entire week, that there's hope, there's life, it may be told in poem, it may be told, your personal story, it may be told fiction, but I
Mhm.
want you to have hope. I want you to have a few minutes of oh, it was bad for a while, but this is how God turned it to good.
Hmm.
This happened to this character in this book of Michael Young's, but oh, she made me laugh. Ooh, maybe her story was worse than mine. I feel hope in,
Mhm.
whatever that looks like. So for those of you who are joining us in the Zoom room, thank you so much for coming. Feel free to use the chat, and Mr. Dr. Randy Weber is in the Zoom room, and he was the one who asked Michael about his research. And I guess, I don't know, he just jumped on, but I'm so glad to have him, and Pastor Gwendolyn Lester Carson. So glad you're here, and Miss Naomi Cornelius. Hopefully, she'll be on a book fair summit very, very soon. And it's not all. Thank you so much. Um, oh, so Leslie, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but go ahead and show everybody your book cover and tell
Okay.
everybody how to get it.
It's Music is the Key. Music Lives in Me. You can get it on Amazon and on Barnes and Nobles, and
From
all
you, from you.
and you could get it from me too. I only have 15 copies right now.
Okay, so I
Um,
want you to
and
spell
as
out.
a matter of fact, right now I could, though they're $20 on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, it's $5 for the ebook. I could send autographed copies for $14 a piece if they inbox me on Facebook. My name is Leslie Guidi. Guidi is spelled Guity with the dots on a U. And if you find me and inbox me, I would be glad to send you an autographed copy for $14, and I will give you all the information when you inbox me.
Wonderful,
As to
wonderful.
my
Now I want you to show the book cover again and tell them the special part about your book cover.
The special part about my book is that my daughter, Anissa Moore, drew the cover. So she took a picture that I had, and she drew it onto my book cover. And the piano and the mic represents music, and this is me in orange.
I love it. I
I,
love it. They got the
I am an
orange.
orangeaholic.
Yeah,
I
the
wear orange
orange.
always.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I wanted her to make sure that she told the significance of that cover. And so, what we're talking about tonight is telling your story. And some of each one has written someone else's story or their own story. in their books. And I'll be talking about my books in a minute. But I go ahead, Miss Vernette Clemens Nettles, and tell us about your book.
Good evening, good evening. I'm showing you a picture of the book cover because the book is just about ready. It'll be ready at the end of the month, and you'll be able to see it at Amazon.com. The title of the book is Unspoken Words, Life's Heartfelt Whispers. And although the book is a collection of poetry, the very last chapter in the book is titled Truth Be Told. And when you were talking about memoirs and purpose, you have to at some point, and I say at some point because we chase God around. God tells us to do something and we go, oh, okay, we'll do it next time. Okay, we'll do it next year. And eventually he gets what he wants out of you. And it was time to tell my story. And although it's very brief, it's really about recovery. It's about living through the hard parts, living through the divorce and realizing that life was so far different from what you expected. Understanding that when life happens to you, you feel like you're the only person it happens to. There is always somebody else who's in that same situation. And mine was emotional abuse. And so you think, I have a degree. How did I get into this place? How did I get to a place where I'm no longer in control of what's happening in my life? And so it took me a while to decide to write it. And I'm actually glad that I wrote it at this point, all of these almost 30 years later, because when you're in the thick of whatever that emotional issue is, that's what you write. You write about the hurt, you write about the pain, you write about the disconnect. You don't write about the recovery. And when you're in the thick of it, you don't see how God is purposing this particular part of your life. What I was so sure of is that God was always there in my life, making things happen for me, not to me, but for me, so that I could continue to grow in him. And when I took the time to look at all of the aspects of my life, to see how God was leading me and helping me use the things that had happened to me to grow children, because I've been a middle school teacher for much of my life, and how I was able to talk to children about, okay, let's look at this. If he says these sets of things to you and he treats you this way, is that how you want to be treated? Do you feel like you deserve that kind of treatment? And sometimes, middle school age girls are so tuned into wanting that person to love them that they miss all of that, or they're willing to accept it. Yeah, right. And middle school boys, I taught in Saraland, Alabama. It was rural, and they were used to not living further than the day. Mm-hmm. And so I stopped them and I said, look, you have a sister, right? Yeah, I got a sister. I said, now I want you to think about somebody treating your sister and doing this, and this. And then they were all ready to fight. It's like, but okay, so I need you to see that what you're fighting about is what you're doing to somebody else. Always something to provoke somebody else to think about their life and how their life is impacting someone else. So I was able to take that hurt and use it to help somebody else. And what I've had to realize probably in the last 10 years so very clearly is that what happens to you is not about you. It's about God showing up in your life so that you can show somebody else. You can tell somebody else how to maneuver through that and how to see God in it. And if you don't take an opportunity to allow people to see God in you and how God is working through that situation, then you've missed something.
Right.
And so this was an opportunity for me to say some of that in that truth be told.
Exactly. It was a powerful testimony. If anybody in the Zoom room or in YouTube has a question for the authors, first off, I want to ask everybody: have you thought about, in especially those in the Zoom room and on YouTube, have you ever thought about writing your own personal story besides your short bio, besides your long bio? Anybody? Let me make this to everybody.
Oh, I kept not trying. I kept trying not to do it. It shows up in the poetry, but besides trying to figure out the words in the poetry.
Well, I mean, I do glimpses of my story. I haven't felt like I'm old enough yet to do my memoir. I mean, just like totally my memoir. Yes. And I know Michael, he tells stories in his fiction, but have you thought about telling your story of 20 plus years at Ford or your company or anything like that? Or
Oh my goodness! If I told the story of Ford, that would be
maybe a
that'd
horror
be like
story?
watching Dynasty. Yeah.
I
I,
know.
I,
Well, but you gotta realize too, your story also can benefit those that are new, that come to Ford, who don't know
yeah.
how did you survive 20 years, how because I'm back with Burnett, your story, you like, ooh, I survived, but sometimes what you go through is to help that next person, to help somebody
Yeah.
else. Okay, so
I've
now,
had a cousin ask me to do that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I've had a cousin to ask me if have I ever thought about writing about my life at Ford. I will have to change names and to
Right.
protect the innocent.
And the
But
guilty.
Yours.
there's I call Ford like Walmart.
Yours.
Yeah.
I changed the
Yes.
name.
Ford is like Walmart.
Yeah,
There's
she changed the
everything
name,
in there, good and bad.
her job position.
I changed the names, the job position, the everything. I changed everything but I believe that the
So she,
people who read the book will know who they are, and
okay,
they
so
will know who they are.
in the chat, Naomi says I wrote my story in 2011. Was it hard to write? Is the book still out there, or have you not published it yet? And then Pastor Lester Carson, you've written a book on your personal testimony. Is it available? Can you put in the chat that it's available? Have you published it? Is it available?
It was hard.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
hard to write.
Well, um, I understand that, but we go back. So let me share my screen really fast. So one of the things that I did want to share to everyone. Oh, it is. Put it in the chat, Pastor. Exactly. Standing on trial. Hold on. I'll go back and get the title of your book so we can make sure that we. Let me stop sharing real fast. Standing on trial. I need you to survive. Is that Pastor Gwendolyn Lester Carson? Okay, so we'll put that in the comments. Naomi, is your book Naomi Cornelius, is your story that you wrote in 2011, is it published? And then Dr. Weber, we've done your book, and we're going to talk about your book very, very soon. I'm going to have you on the book fair. But have you considered writing the story of your life? So Dr. Weber he's an author, but he is also one of the directors of the Wayside Mission. So Wayside Mission is like the large homeless population is who he serves. And it's a major thing, of all the operation. And I'm quite sure he can't divulge all of that just because of his clientele, but realizing who's the next generation who's going to have the heart for the homeless population such as he does. And so Anne plays the organ and leads worship and the whole 9 yards. So Dr. Weber, have you ever considered doing that, writing your story so that you can help ignite the next generation for the homeless? I'm gonna leave that right there and let you think about that. So I'm gonna share my screen again. And so Leslie mentioned that it was really hard to tell her story. And I cannot tell you before we went live how many people have started and thought they were going to be able to tell it, but they started remembering what happened, especially if it was very emotional and very abusive. They started remembering that. And so they're like, I'll have to get back to you later, Julia. I'm not ready to tell that story now. But if you remember your why, it will help you get through the rough parts. So why, this is just four of them. There's plenty of them, but your why for telling your personal story or telling your story, period, whether it's fictionalized or nonfiction, is your why. Hopefully you're wanting to empower someone. Hopefully, two, it's connected to your purpose. And number three, it's connected to deliverance for you and someone else. There should be a deliverance mechanism that you're wanting to help someone else. Burnette's already said it's not about you. Sometimes what you go through is to help somebody else. So whether Michael's telling about his 25 years at Ford or however that is, he should be wanting to help somebody else. And then you should be wanting to, if there is a situation that needs illumination or some type of light, hopefully you're going to shine a light on an issue that somebody who's unbeknownst, unaware can say, oh, wait a minute, I've seen some change in my child. Oh, wait a minute, I've seen some scars on my son. Oh, wait a minute, I need to come out of what I'm doing and pay more attention. The last thing, what your personal story should not do, it should not be seeking, let me make that just a little bit bigger. It should not be wanting to seek your own revenge because we don't, the God said, vengeance is mine, he do the repaying. Because that's a whole lot of other emotional and spiritual baggage that you don't need. So seeking your own revenge. And I ask authors this when they're actually telling their story. When I want to tell a story about my life, I say, okay, so let's start here. Is this for revenge? Do you need to go and confront somebody? Because paying me to publish your book is not the place where we want to be doing that. I don't want to find you injured or somebody coming after me. And then secondly, just to air your dirty laundry for the sake of airing your dirty laundry. No, it should be seeking back to purpose, back to ministry. It should be tied to helping someone else. And are you trying to be a snitch on someone else? It didn't even happen to you, but it happened to somebody else. So you decide you just want to tell it and name names. No, I'm not going to be publishing that either. Somebody else, you can self-publish somewhere else, but I'm not trying to be sued and in no courthouse. And then, is it just for the sake of pointing a finger? You may need therapy for that. You may need a therapist. You may need to go to a counselor to seek help for that first before you're able to do that. I want to publish books that are going to be helpful to someone else. Yes, they should be healing for you. I have seen books heal family members, heal other families who found out, and the way it was told by the author helped bring the family together to say they were sorry and apologize and forgive and move forward. That's what I want to see. I don't want to knock down, drag out, gunfight anywhere and they found out and all that. Because I even asked people, have you notified your family that you're getting ready to do this? Because I'm not into warfare like that. I'm just not. And I don't like messy and I don't like being involved in messy. If I can help it and if I know about it ahead of time. So if I ask, have you notified your family? Yes. Are these the actual names of the family members? Are these the actual names of the people on your job? So Leslie knows when we were going through it, she goes, no, I changed the name. She knows. I told her, I said, no. We want to protect your job. You're going to go on through until you retire.
Ethics to mission.
Yeah. I mean, it was the whole 9 yards. So telling your story is important, but you've got to go back to your why. Why are you doing it? What for? What's the purpose behind it? And making sure that that is the key to it and not just, oh, I want a revenge. I'm going to get them. I'm just finally ready and I've got the money and I'm going to publish and I'm going to do it. No, not over here, because we want to help. We want to see people to be delivered and helped and set free. Does that make sense? So the
Yes.
rewards of it, and the last thing, um, I want the rewards of it to be, I don't think that's I there. I think that's misspelled. Yeah. The reward should be, it should activate your voice. Because sometimes the enemy wants to stifle your voice and choke it out of you and make
Yeah.
you not acknowledge. It's like my cousin says, devil, I see you. That's her thing. Devil, I see you. I want you to know, I know that was you.
Yeah.
So being able to activate your voice. I don't think our voices are lost. I know the famous saying is, go find your voice. Your voice is not lost unless you do have an actual ailment that prohibits you from speaking. But if you have a voice, you just need to activate it. And then number two, we talked about deliverance for someone, but it should, number three, be a pathway to hope. And then number four is the one I really focus on, especially as I'm getting older. Save the next generation from repetition. Save the next generation from having this thing just repeated like a big wheel, hamster on a wheel going round and around and around and around and around. Stop. Get off. Stop this foolishness. Let the cycle stop with you. Let the cycle stop before it keeps going to the next generation. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I hope it does.
Yeah.
So, any questions about telling your story? What you know, and then I do want to get into just a couple of things of what you should tell and what you shouldn't tell. You know, one of the things that has always, people are very, want to be extremely chronological. No, that happened on a Tuesday, April 15th, 2002. No, I think it was the 16th. Wait a minute, let me go back. Does that really matter? It happened in the spring. You can be as general to say it happened in the springtime. It happened in the overall. And then, you know, I know all domestic violence, all forms of abuse, all forms of molestation, all of that is horrible. I don't need to have it repeated over. And then Monday that happened, and then he did it again Tuesday, and then Wednesday. Honey, one time is enough. One time. If it happened once, that's too many times. Now to say from the age of 5 to 12, I was molested repeatedly, that's enough. I have a visual. I know all about what happened. And then some things are, you know, you just want to dig, you know, the knife and turn it, you know. But really, the general overall, because people's attention span can't stand a lot. So, you know, when I read Vernett's Truth Be Told, it was like, yes, you're here to help somebody else. And then I asked her, are you ready to speak about it? Are you ready to tell others? Are you ready to do ministry? She said, no. I told her, well, tough. You're going to do it anyway.
That is exactly what she said.
Tough. You're going to do it anyway. And, you know, Leslie the same way. And then, of course, Michael, we're bringing him out of his introvert shell. We're just, woo, he's going to talk more and more and more. We're going to be interviewing him again very shortly about his books as well, because I really, from a man's perspective, to have such a respect for women, we thank you, but we definitely want that passed on to the next generation and keep repeating. So does that make sense? So were you thoughtful, Leslie, of the actual incidents you wanted to put in the book, or?
Yes, I was. The reason why I put out so much, though, is to let women know that they're not alone in certain things, aspects of their life. That, you know, some people feel isolated, that they're the only ones that went through anything. And so that's why, you know, people know me to smile all the time and to, you know, worship, and they don't know my backstory. So, you know, they're looking at me like, why is she always happy? Why is she always, and me telling my story would bring them to you could be happy like me. You know what I mean? You could be praising God like me. You could be saved like me because I've been through what you've been through. You know what I mean? So I want I had people call me after they read their book and said, "My goodness, you wrote my story." You know,
Mhm.
and
Right.
then saying, "And you got through like this." Wow. Actually thinking, oh well, if she could do it, I could do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
If she can get through all that and forgive people, forgive people, forgive people. I have to say that
Yeah.
a lot because a lot of people, when they go through stuff, they still hold on to the person who hurt them. Um, but if you forgive, you could be happy. I mean, you're free, you know? So, yes, I wrote the book. That's why I wrote the book, so that people could know um, to do their passion too. Their passion releases things. Like I said, if I didn't sing during that time, I wouldn't have been free. So,
Right.
if you draw. I want you to draw. I mean, if you take pictures or you like to take pictures. Do something passionate. Whatever's in you, and it makes you happy. So that's. I even have poetry in there called "Music is the Key" too. So
It's able to share it. That's that outlet. That's definitely it. Okay. So are we gonna share more of our story? Vernette, no, yes, no.
Ma'am.
Rhetorical, huh? Like you hear nothing. Never mind. Never
Well,
mind.
well, let me say this. I'm not going to answer that question yet, but let me say this. I just want to respond to Leslie. Um, I don't know when it happens, but women are taught that they have to be strong, not necessarily strong and silent, but strong. And
Yeah.
so when all of these things happen, as you continue to be strong, you eventually end up not saying what's going on because that might appear to be a weakness. So you
right,
just keep on moving through. And so one of the things I really have enjoyed about being sheltered at home is being able to talk to my daughter who's 28. And I was able to help her see that a lot of times she didn't know what was going on because I just moved on. So
Yeah.
some things are going on right now, and she's like, well, you just keep carrying on like it's okay. And it's like, no, it's not that it's okay. It's just that I had to at some point decide, are we dying? Are we going to be able to eat tomorrow? Will we have lights on? If all of those things are okay, then fix the flat tire, figure out how to have the tires rotated because I didn't
Right.
know they had to be rotated.
Right.
Just figure this stuff out and move on. Nobody died, nobody's
Right.
crying, nobody's
mhm,
bleeding, and just
mhm,
move on. And
Right.
that's what so I don't know when it happened, but we're trained to do that. And so it's really, really you end up with a lot of unspoken words in your heart over
yeah,
years.
Yeah.
yeah,
And a
And
lot of things are built up, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden, then you
Boom.
get that show that said snaps, and
right,
that snap, and you like, well, she seemed all right. I mean, whoop, and it was the as old folks used to say, the straw that finally broke the camel's back.
yeah,
And I don't know who that camel is, and it's like anything else. Like my grandfather used to say, "If it had lips, the nation." Really, I mean, just all those kind of little sayings, but they made sense back then, and they definitely make sense now.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
so the importance of being able to tell your story now, after the story is told, after the story is put out there in the book.
We're not done.
No, we're not done. After
Oh,
the, after the story's told, after you put it in the book, it is now time for you have to respond. That's one of the scariest parts about putting your work out there is that you're going to get a response. You're going to get people who are going to ask you questions. You're going to get people who are going to want to know how to tell their story. You're going to get people who maybe disagree. I don't like. I mean, some of the fiction books I've done, They were like, why'd you make that? They get very emotional. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to first off make you think. And then secondly, I want to invoke something from you. I want to see if you felt did I really convey that in a way that made you want to or cry or laugh or, I really want to do that. I want you to come in the moment. I want you to feel in the moment. So I encourage writers to actually do that, not just as the old dragnet, just the facts, ma'am, but I want you to be able to feel it. I want you to be able to. That's the reason why Michael Young, I'm like, I'm only going to read this in the daytime because I can't sleep at night because he made me scared. And, and that's the objective. It may be like, scared. So being able to invoke feeling emotion because you're writing that feeling, you're painting the picture, you're telling the story with your written word as opposed to us having this conversation now, which we love and will continue to do, especially in this space. And, even once the country opens up, but we love this. But what happens when you're not able to ask? So Michael Young, why did you really write, Forgotten Lies? What were you thinking? You don't have me just digging down into it. Okay, but you've got to be able to write it in a way. And yes, we love two-way communication with readers, and we loved all of that. But being able to write it with your words enough that you invoke that thinking, invoke that emotion. But more than anything, I want you to apply it to your life and apply it and take it to do something else with it and to make somebody else's life better, including yours. Number one, yours. So I want to talk a little bit because it's almost 10 till. Anybody else have any questions? Let me check YouTube, see if anybody has any questions. Hey, Kelsey, how are you? What marketing challenges have you dealt with past or currently, and how do you overcome those challenges? Well, marketing challenges right now are the most challenging because Michael Young knows he's been with me quite a while. He and his wife have attended several of my events. I'm really an in-person, in your face kind of I'm doing worse. I'm really let's see, Vernette, we were at the National Black Book Festival 2 days, that's where we love to be. So well, first off, before I move on, Kelsey, have you actually published your book already or no? Your book is published? Yes? Let me know that before I keep going. Your book is already published? Okay, so whether your book is published or not, even for the authors that are in the group or thinking about writing or whatever, first off, I want you to know your book is evergreen. And what I mean is, the evergreen plant, it usually doesn't die. Those leaves don't fall off unless it's cut down. They don't fall off. If they're rooted and they get water, etc., it's evergreen. It just stays green and it keeps going. Your book is that same way. It can be rebirthed and resold and revived, per se, if you get in another arena. So if you get in front of new people, they don't know your book is 4 years old until they buy it or look inside and see, oh, the copyright date is 2016. I can sell my fiction book. I can sell my nonfiction book all I want to until Jesus comes, until the earth is no more, because it is evergreen. Now, unless there's a specific timestamp or date stamp or whatever, you only want it for a specific time, or like the calendar book and all that, we're gonna work that out too, Vernette, but then they're evergreen. They continue to go. So I have my book, The Gifted. This is the teen edition, but the first edition I did for adults. This one's a teen edition. So the way I write normally, they will continue. It's just where and when and how. So the biggest challenges for me have been getting in live events. But what I do is I just have online events. I just went online and switched it up. It got crowded in Facebook, so I'm over here on YouTube. I'll be in LinkedIn. I'll continue to share the links, but I'm going to keep moving. Amazon is there always, but I've got to get in front of new people to and events and things of that nature. So because I sing and because I traveled before this season, it really wasn't a problem because I would be moving from new city to new city to new event, and new people would be seeing it. Now I have to do that in the virtual space.
Right.
Now I have to do that in a digital space. Let me go over here and see. Not yet. Okay, so your book is not, it's not finished or it's just not published. Answer that question for me. Okay, so promotion is an ongoing thing. It takes probably now it's going to take 17 to 25 impressions and scenes before, yes, ma'am, before it is people stop. One of the things with social media is they're really wanting you to pay for ads so that you're seen more. That's the way they want to make money.
Yeah.
So Amazon ads, Google ads, Facebook ads,
Mhm.
I have run them and I feel like I've just lifted up my window and just threw money out the door. I haven't really received a return on that investment, but maybe I didn't do it enough. Maybe I needed to trial and error. It's from everyone I've seen, it's a trial and error thing. Well, I'm not really to do a lot of trial and error, especially with my money. So I've got to get it down to a science. So you're right, Pastor Carson. Facebook is extremely high traffic now because of churches and everybody. I no, I do recommend ads. I just need to learn more. I think there's a learning process. I know Michael has run ads before in the past with his books as well. I don't know, how did you do sales wise?
I may have gotten one or two sales from it.
But you
going
were
to
new
Amazon.
and you got in front of a different audience.
Yes.
So I use ads for getting to be seen and clicks and impressions so that people can actually see me. The best thing I've ever done ads wise is Amazon ads, and it was my romance fiction series. That's the best thing that I've ever done. But that's an option. But I'm like, well, what's wrong with my nonfiction? What's wrong with something else? What's wrong with, so it's trial and error for me. So what's the best exposure for your book, Pastor Carson? Not finished yet. Okay. Is it, can you tell me what genre it is? Miss Kelsey Porter in YouTube. Is it nonfiction? Is it fiction? Is it inspirational? Is it what type of book is it? For me, what I have done for ads is drive traffic to a particular page, to either my page or to my website. Because I want people to get off social media in my arena. I want them to get near me. So that's just, a recommendation for me. I'm of the adage, as far as marketing and promotions goes, you really need an internet address. You need a house. You need somewhere to be. Social media is great to be social, but it's like going to a social networking event. You eventually are gonna have to get in your own car and go home. So where's your house? Where are your clothes? Where is your sock drawer? Where is your cupboard? So I liken that. I'm really becoming I know everybody's like, I'm not really trying to get into it that deep. I'll let Amazon do it, but I really am of the adage to really get people. I meet you over there, but this is also where I hang out too as well, and connect with me as well. So let me post this out just for marketing and promotions wise. Are you building an email list? Are you building a list? Do you have a list of people who came to your book signing? Do you have that? Because one thing about it, one key thing, Amazon's not going to give you who bought the book.
The email addresses, you don't get that.
You're not going to get that.
Right.
So that's the reason why I advise authors always send them to your, I'm sorry, what do you suggest for exposure? You just have to be out there. I think you have to post all the time. You have to get, people are looking for, I'm looking for guests for my podcast because then your upcoming episode is going to be promoted on my social media platform. So I post that. They all know when you're going to be on. I say you're going to be on. So therefore, you're in front of all my social media and my email list. Okay, so you know that she's coming out. So that is one thing, getting in front of a list. You're always posting, but are you on, because you're in ministry, do you go live? Do you have a website? Do you have some place where people can actually get information from you? Do you have an email list? Now, Vernette has a daily, not live yet.
It's
Your daily,
okay.
give that address, Vernette.
bcndailypray.com. It is a daily scripture and prayer every weekday. And it posts most mornings, well, not most mornings, but every morning before 10 it posts.
Okay, so
and
you
it's-
have a list of people you email it to
Yes.
and your website.
Yes.
Building her list and increasing her list as she goes. Okay,
Yeah.
so that list is just, it doesn't have to be thousands of thousands. I know people, I got 80,000 on my list. Boom. If you got 500, you got two. If you got 100 people that you're communicating with, that will lead to more people. I started with just a yellow notepad, just a regular spiral yellow notepad, going to all my singing events and saying, I'm sending out a newsletter. I did everything at first in Gmail. Just you send out so many a day, and I just send them out like that. And just
I send out on email, on Facebook. I keep posting it on my Facebook. And I didn't even do a book signing, and I got a lot of people are buying the book. I'm kind of shocked about it, and excited too. A lot of people are
but you
buying
gotta
the
let
book.
people know. But everybody who, when you post different times, do you post different times a day?
Different times a day. I post in my story because the story stays up there.
Yeah,
I
for
post
3
in
days and
Twitter.
then it comes down.
I
Yeah.
post in Instagram. I send it to all my friends via email.
So Pat, hold on one second. Pastor Carson, have you just picked up your phone and gone live and said hi everybody yet? Have you done that yet? I mean, not for your church, not for your ministry, but just personally to say hi, how's everybody doing? Try that. Just say hello, how's everybody doing? You have? Okay. And then people share, because when you go live, now this is different when I post a replay link than it is when I go live. When I go live in Facebook, remember, it starts notifying friends. It's building me an audience, which is totally different than just posting a link. It's not, you just have to be seeing it and all that. But when you go live, it's a totally different thing. It notifies. So your audience is bigger, and then you have the capability of people saying, oh, she went live. Let me share and at least, help her with promotions. So you did an audio live. Do you do video? Have you done a video live? That people like that too. They like to keep moving and they like to listen to you. So you're fine by that too as well. So one of my things that I have about yeah, I'm praying for you, but come on in. Let's jump it in, and if you need help, reach out to me, talkwithroyston.com. Let's have a conversation and let's talk about it. One of the things in this space, we all are learning. We all are. Right. So don't anybody think anything like, oh, they got it all together. No, we're not. And then people lying, talking about they making seven figures and all that. They may or may not. But in this space, we all in this here together, right through here, because it's all different for all of us. Some of us are fine, but we're all relearning everything. I mean, there's no way a year ago I wouldn't have been able to go live any day of the week I wanted to. But now it's so crowded and so many people, so therefore I have to change. So it's new for me too as well. I wish I had a magic formula, but I don't. And anybody who says they do is lying, because everything's different right now.
Right.
Everything's different. So we have to take baby steps, step at a time, and do what we can do, especially the free things. Jumping into ads, I would ask you to go to YouTube or start, following people and asking some questions and hopping in some free webinars first before you put your credit card out there. And then even if you do put your credit card out there, do it small. Say, I want $5 a day. I want $2 a day. I want 5 days and cut it off. I mean, it just is what it is because, and then of course you got to analyze your data and all that good stuff. So, I'm not a huge ad fan, but I know my friends all say, girl, you got to jump in, get your $10 and let's jump in. Yeah. Any other questions? That's really great. Okay, so last night Ms. Porter really talked about poetry and fiction, but fiction and poetry are those creative arts that you gotta nab your audience. Does that make sense, Michael? You got to really, you got to find your audience and encourage them to share, encourage them to ask their friends, and sometimes you have to give them snippets and half of the first chapter and to grab them in and really talk about not only just your cover, but I really want to encourage you, especially with fiction and poetry, what is it about? Why do I want it? Why do I need it? And it takes time, especially for fiction, because people have their favorites, Zane and all that. Those are the popular celebrity. New fiction writers, it takes time. But when you have followers and people who love it, and I'm waiting for more, appreciate them. Be thankful for them. If you've ever read it, be really appreciative and be thankful. You could have a readers group, put them together. That would be great. Any other questions? Because it's already after 9, and I promised I wouldn't keep everybody, but you get me talking about promotion. That's hard. That's the hardest part of the book.
Hardest part.
Promotion. It really is. It is the hardest part. It's the most important part. People say, oh, it's the writing at the part. We can fix all that. We can get all that. Ooh, we missed that. We can fix all that. But people open up their wallets to buy it. It makes all the difference in the world. So my last thing, especially about telling your story, make sure you know what your why is. Make sure you got your why down. Make sure you know your purpose, not only just why you're doing it, but what are the end results that you have in telling your story. And then be ready for the response, because when you tell it, somebody's going to say something. Somebody's going to, you got to be ready to minister to them, to, possibly shine a light and point a direction. Sometimes it's pray and people go into tears. I mean, it's serious. It's a real place. And sometimes it does different things. And, ministry has really broke out, especially for writing the story and telling. So, all righty. So any other questions? I mean, like they do in church. All minds clear?
All minds clear.
Oh, thank you so much. To write mom and tell. Oh, that is so awesome. Okay, so in the YouTube, it says GL Fab said, I found this informational form so helpful. God bless you all for sharing your stories and also for helping writers get established. I am even more inspired to write my own story to help others. Agree, this was a lot of helpful information. Oh, I love it. Testimonial, yay.
Great.
Oh, it was worth it. It was worth it. Me getting cut off, the host getting cut off her own thing. Oh my Lord.
You left the teacher in the room, right?
I know. I was like, she just jumped right. I said, I know. didn't,
Leslie, tell the story.
I didn't even get the message done. Brian got it back up, but I'm like, okay, they'll be fine. But I'm thankful. I'm appreciative to everyone. No other questions. I don't see nothing else. The dialogue was good. Thank you. Keep me posted. All right. Well, tomorrow night we're going to be on. So just a few announcements before y'all leave, before I shut the live stream off. First, tomorrow night is children's authors. So we'll have children's books on tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So if you've ever thought about writing a children's book, I hope you think about writing a children's book so we can save and continue to inspire the next generation. On Friday, I'm just going to be live at noon for a lunch and learn. So if you're got more questions, you thought about it, you saw the replay, I didn't ask you this, I didn't, so it's going to kind of be open about writing. So any of the authors can jump on, and we're just really going to be talking about the writing process. Two other things that I do want to encourage you to do on Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time is the Empowered to Soar London Virtual Summit. I was supposed to have a conference in London. We've been planning for 2 years. Everything was shut down. So we're all coming together. So I have two of my sister friends in the United Kingdom and me and another friend right here in the old US of A. We're going to be on. Registration is completely, totally free. But to get access to the replay, any gifts and giveaways, you need to go to bit.ly/London Virtual Summit to register so that you can get, I'm giving away some stuff. And all the replays and all the handouts and all that. So it's going to be just 2 hours. So just 2 hours of your time. You can only make it the first hour or the end, and we will go live and invite others to come and join us. But for the replays, the giveaways, and all that good stuff, you got to be registered to win. And then the last thing on Tuesday, April 28th, is a women's panel, Women in Business, Finding the Balance. I'm trying to get it all in for the world opens up and y'all all be turned loose, and I can't get you back into a room like this again because we don't like that and isolation. So it's going to be full of empowerment. I had the men's panel on earlier in the month, and these are their wives finding the balance. So they're going to tell their side of it. And so I'm super excited about that too as well. So reach out to me if you need help. Talk with Royston.com, and let's have a conversation about your book. If you are interested in taking one of my classes, go to bkroystonpublishing.com/classes. If you need help and you say, I just want to take an independent class, what you got to offer? Go to bkroystonstore.com, and that has 21 courses already pre-recorded up with ebooks, handout, and all that good stuff. And if you have questions, always reach out to me. So I'm Julia Royston at BK Royston Publishing. Authors don't go nowhere. BK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and the author community, the Book Business Boss, is helping you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and write that book now. Tell your story. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.